So really, if you think about it, this is kind of a carpentry type of work. I use this method a lot. I learned a lot from Kathy Orta over the years. Amazing, brainy lady, all the way. Hat goes off to her. Alright, so that is burnished too. So we just need to make this part and these two puppies right here. I know this is a 4-inch, so I'm going to use my ruler because it's kind of hard for me to put it there now. Okay. Trim the corners or snip the corners. It just helps. Okay. Do your burnishing. Okay. Now we're going to do this ones too. And these ones are so little. So little. So you kind of just put it over it and cut what you need. But if you really want to be measuring, well, you know, you can measure that part too. Again, we have to snip our corners. It makes our project less bulky in the corners. And it looks a lot more professional and clean. Okay. So here we go again. Same thing that we've been doing all along. And we'll burnish that too. And we'll put the other one. Oops. Same thing. These are pretty easy because they're so small. Easy to manipulate. Oops. Just dropped my bone folder. Okay, so burnish that. There it is. And we just have to put these ones right here. And we'll start with putting things together. Okay, that's one, but we need another one for the other side. So I might as well cut it now and get that out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to do my snipping. I really don't want to do 2 videos for this, but I might have to. And I think it's because of the hinging, you know. But when you use hinges on products, they last so much longer than if you didn't. Okay, same thing. And it's okay if you miscalculate and it's a little big, just snip it off. Okay. Now the other side, same thing and same way of doing it. Just a tiny bit, as you can tell, see, just a tiny bit big. I'm just going to trim it there. Okay. And now I'm going to burnish those because I don't want to forget. I do them right after I put them, and that way I don't forget. And at the time of me putting things together, I don't want to waste time and doing any burnishing. Because I'm already using, I'm going to be using some wet glue, so I need to be completely ready for that. Okay, now you're going to get your black dabber, and you're going to go in between these areas right here. And the reason is because when we put our paper is just a tiny bit smaller there. And obviously the hinges go on the outside, so you will be able to see a little bit of those edges, and I don't want to do that. So when you have this, let me see if you can see it, this flap over here on this little one, that's going to cover in there, so there's no need to put, you know, paint in there. But it is important that we do it on this one because there is no, there's no need for that one. Alright, and then this one right here, and you'll see why in a little bit. That goes in the others on the outside. There's no need to put any here because this flap is going to be down. Okay, and I think I got every, nope, this one right here, right there and right there, I got it all. Okay, now we are going to, well, that dries, this already dry, but let me just give it a quick dry. It just dries so fast. Okay, this is a very important step. We are going to put glue in between all those hinges, or where the two chipboards are going to meet, and that way this product will be very sturdy and not going to be, you know, broken easily. Just give it a little, and then I put on this ones too, even though that's not carrying any weight. It's just so we can have our edges not raw. But I kind of like the glue everywhere on the edges. It just makes the product very sturdy. And this is the reason why I love this one, because of the special tip that this one has. It fits right on those grooves just perfectly. Okay, and then this one, and voila, we have it. All right, and at this point, I've actually should have my papers already stained, but I don't have them stained, because before we close this, I'd like to put my things that go inside my lining, because I don't want to be doing, I don't want to come back. Alright, so I know this one is going to go here and the other one here. So I am going to do just a tiny bit of, and this is an old pad. I mean, you can tell how tore up it is, but I like it just the way it is, because it creates this effect at the edges, like if I use a distressing tool. And this is my obviously stays on, and I sure like this saddle brown color very much. And this is the one that I piece on the back. That's okay. This is so fast. You'll be amazed how fast this is. Alright. And then now I'm going to do this one. I'm sure by seeing the pieces, you can tell where they're going. Okay. That's another one that I pieced together, and it's okay. Alright, so let me put that aside. And I'm going to adhere my pieces. I'm going to put my the glue on the back of them, and I'm going to use my AGG gun. You can use tape. I don't suggest the you know, liquid. I mean, you could, it just takes longer, and I want to get this done yesterday. That's usually the way I like my things. Oh, before we go any further, so glad I remembered. This piece has to go down. These two sides and another one here. But see, if we hadn't burnished, this would, you know, it would be hard to pull and create and have a sharp edge. But since it's burnished, it automatically goes into that position and is perfect. And then you're going to put this one, this top one too, this little flap. And that one was just a tiny bit bigger, and we'll just trim it. Nothing is going to happen to it. This one too. Now you see the benefit of us having all these edges. Okay, here we go. last piece, because we gotta put our paper on top of that. So it's like that. Okay. So which one did I put glue on? This one. So we're going to find and just kind of center your paper among the whole thing, because it is just a tiny bit smaller. Now let's get this other paper, and I'm going to remove that tape that I used to put those papers together. And just give her 1 and 1. I just don't like my products coming apart at all. Alright, same thing over here. You want to center that paper. I don't think I cut that paper a 1/4 of an inch smaller, but it doesn't really matter. It goes on the inside at this point. I don't want to waste time. Okay, so now we're going to put glue on this other one, which is the other side. Alright. Center your paper, just like so. And now, this is another one that is going to go over, because that would be an edge that would be exposed. It's just to cover the edge. It's not acting as a hinge. Okay, this is the other piece that's going to go in there. I'll remove that little piece. Look at my hands filled with glue. Okay. Okay. And just center your piece of paper there. And you have one more. That is so you don't have to be, trying to fit the pieces when you have already closed the box. It makes it more difficult when there's no need. Alright, same thing. You will center this paper. Alright, now it's time to close this box. And this glue dries clear, so make sure that you're using a glue that obviously would dry clear. Let me get some paper here. Alright, now I'm going to bring this up. This goes here. And I am going to add this one first, this little flap. Because it's so much smaller to control than this big one, it's easier for me to do that. Then I can really pull the other ones once the box is kind of put together in a sense. And when you hinge, you don't go over, you don't overlap the chipboards, you just make them go like this in corner, in other words. So this is the way it is, this is the other corner, okay? I don't know if that makes sense or not, but that's the way I do it. Okay, so now you see we have the burnishing of the paper here helps us not to we don't have to strain ourselves trying to pull the paper up, because the paper already knew where to go because it had been burnished. And voila, you have your box all nice and ready. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to distress the pieces that go on the outside, and we are completely done with this part. Then I'm going to go ahead and put some mud push on the whole thing to make it nice and sturdy, and when it's completely dry we'll go ahead and add the pieces, the dividers that go inside, which are just tremendously easy to put together. Nothing to them whatsoever. Alright. There's that. And I am missing one piece. I am missing, probably fell here. I'm missing this piece that goes on the bottom here for some reason. But I'm actually kind of glad because I want to show you something. Well, I want to show you an option before I put that piece. Alright, let me remove this tape because again, this is another piece that I put together because I wasn't going to waste any extra paper. You know, paper is very expensive. It's not just, I mean, $1 per piece of paper, you know, 12 by 12, and we don't buy one, do we? We buy a lot, so it kind of, you know, adds on. So I try to keep as much as I can, just with a few different techniques, and they are not difficult, and you'll be able to. Okay, this goes in to the back. And see, it doesn't bother me that I have that little thing, and you're not going to see it once I put Mod Podge in the whole thing. Okay, you want to center your paper again because we did cut it about 1/4 of an inch smaller. Okay, so now let's put center your paper again. That's why it's good to have this one's cut, obviously. Oops. And I usually double check this ones also before I even put the glue, just to kind of, it's like when you double check your math. This time I didn't, but I usually do. So like this, you know, I haven't put any glue there, and I know I'm pretty good there. And you know, lo and behold, this one is just a tiny bit wider. I am just going to take that little extra that just gives me that illusion, and it's perfect. That's usually what I do. I do double check the paper. I mean, it's so easy to make an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16 of an inch mistake. So if you have a chance to double check your papers before you can put them on, or before you even put glue on them, perfect. Okay. And I just, you know, since I go all the way to the edge, sometimes I end up putting a little extra glue that shows up, and I just stick it back in. Alright, I'm gonna center my paper same way as I did with the other one. Oops. And here is why we have our black dabber. This one I cut a little extra there, and you can see a little bit of the chipboard, and that's no good. Alright, let me dry that. That's why I love those dabbers. They, you know, they correct any mistake. It's like one of those pencils that you buy to erase scratches on furniture. Yeah, they're great. That's how I think of my dabbers. There it is. And now I'm going to put my front. And again, I will center my piece, and there it is. Now I did cut this other piece. I don't know where it went. I probably did drop it somewhere in here, but it doesn't really matter at this point because you know what to cut in here. It's here somewhere. But here is my other option. Now let me get a piece of chipboard so I can kind of show you. Of course, now that I want a piece of chipboard, just a second. I don't know if these ones are long enough. No. Give me a second here. Here's one. No, not wide enough. It needs to be a little bit wider. Like a quarter of an inch wider. Which is basically what I am looking for. Okay, well, let me explain on this because it seems like I'm not going to find... Oh, there's one here. Okay, so at this point, you also can do this. You can put a piece of chipboard. Remember, we cut this one at 4 by 6, so you can cut a piece that is 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, and it just, you know, stays out, it stems out a little bit, but it kind of works as a really good base. So you can do that, but this is sturdy enough. Okay, it's not going to go anywhere, but it just kind of gives that extra look that you see in the, you know, when you buy them from the factory. So they would kind of look like this. Let me just give you a little. And then on top of that, you can decorate the corner. You can cut the corner a little better, and then this will be painted black too, you know. So that's the other option that you have that we're not going to do right now, but anyhow. All right, well, let me get my Muti-Push, and I'm going to cover this whole thing inside and out, and I'll be back. Okay, my friends, we are back. And now I have my Muti-Push, or you can use any matte medium or any medium to cover the whole box, because that will just give it strength, and that's the reason why we're going to do it. But before you do that, we're going to cut the 3 dividers that go inside the box, and I'll give you the measurements that you're going to need. So it's 3 pieces. The first piece is going to be 3 5/8. Let's see, 3 5/8. No, I'm lying to you. It is 3 7/8. So 3 7/8, and they are going to be that wide. It's not the 7/8, so it would be, let's see, the 8/16, or what would you call that? I don't want you to stop at it's between the 7/8 and the 4, so that's the measurement. But you know, let's just say 7/8, because it's not quite that. It's just a little bigger than that. But I don't know what you call it. How many 16s? Well, it would be 16s, right? So 15 16s. I think it would be that. I don't know about those. Those are very, very small measurements. What we're trying to do, if you cut it at 4 and you put it in here, it'll be really, really tight, okay? And it would just kind of start getting your box this way. So that's why we don't do it that way, okay? So we cut it just... See, that's why a little too wide. I flipped it the other side so you can see how it kind of opens up the box this way. So you don't want to do that. They have to be at least a 16 of an inch right there, okay? So the first one is 3 7/8 by 4. The second one, it's going to be 3 7/8 by 3, and the other one is going to be 3 7/8 by 2. Okay, so once you have cut those 3, this is what we're going to do. Well, we gotta paint them, but actually I need to start doing this because I need this to dry. We're going to paint those black, and what you can do on the other one, I painted them and then I put a little bit of a paper, whatever leftover I had. I don't have a lot of leftover paper, so you can cover them too in the front. There's really no need. Nobody's going to see that, so it's totally up to you. Alright, so what we're going to do, I'm going to start on the inside and just Muti-Push the whole thing, because I thought I had the time to do it before and I didn't do it. So I'm just going to do it here. It doesn't have to be an extreme, you know, heavy coat. Just enough for the whole paper to kind of feels like it's going to settle down, and it hardens your product too, or your project actually. And I like to keep the striations in one direction if I could. So first I applied all my glue to everywhere, make sure that it's in every little corner and nook area. Then I kind of go back and brush it, so it kind of looks combed, you know, like it's groomed. You're probably gonna think I'm nuts. Well, actually, yes, I am nuts, but you're not going to. You do think I'm nuts. For God's sakes, I think I'm nuts. Okay, now I'm going to bring this paper here because I hate cleaning my mat. I really do. It's really good, but I know it's made for that, to be cleaned, but I don't want to clean it, so much easier just to work with a piece of plastic and just toss it. And for God's sake, I recycle my papers, my bags, so I don't feel bad about using a couple here and there. And I went ahead and I'm going to go ahead and dry this with the heat gun because it dries pretty fast still anyways. But I don't want to waste any time, and it's getting late for me already, but I want to finish the tutorial before I go to bed. It's already quite late here, but I'm not a morning person, so I know I'm not getting up in the morning to do the tutorial. Alright, so go over with your brush on every area that, you know, perhaps didn't get any of the mud push, and just give it a little grooming section there. And let me see how can I grab this because it's going to go on the bottom. I'm not going to put it on the bottom because I need to just lay it down this way until it's completely dry on top, and then I can deal with it. The other good reason about this is that nothing will stick to the plastic. That's a good thing. So I'm going to put this aside so it'll dry. Now I'm going to get another bag. I keep these bags in my traveling case for my teaching because when I paint, that's what I use. Where's my pieces? There you go. And we're going to mud polish them too, so I'm going to save my brush, and my mud polish is going to, I'm just going to cover it, but it's going to stay here because I'm going to use it. Oh, and then I cut myself as I was cutting some papers in here, and it was with my nail. I scratched myself, believe it or not. Alright, so I'm going to start painting this. So I go on one side and let the other side, let that dry, and it's really fast. I mean, you can use regular paint, but these are so little that I have my acrylic big paint that I use for bigger projects, but yeah, it's too little. It's more of a hassle bringing the can out, you know, get the brush, and oh gosh. This is almost dry, so you want to go on the sides too. And then we'll go on the other side in a little bit once those ones are dried on one area, on one side. Just make sure you don't see any of the chipboard. I know somebody saw me doing the bag and they said, well, what's the point of using that? Well, it is really good for a lot of things, but oh my god, I destroy mine because I'm working fast that I don't get to stop and clean it up. I'm too lazy, so okay, let me dry this ones. So I'm going to turn them over, and then I'll go wash my hands. I ran out of my wet wipes in here, and I missed them. Alright, so just color the other side. And you know, if you wanted to cover them and do the 1/4 inch smaller, you can just paint the edges. And it looks really pretty. I did that on the other one. But for today's tutorial's sake, I'm not going to go into every detail. So that's the reason why. Done. Alright, done. Alright, so now what I usually do with a piece of paper, I still go over it before I pick them up and before I throw the bag away, because I want to make sure I'm not going to put it, God forbid I have to clean something extra. It's a chore enough to clean my workroom after I do a work. Alright, so see, this is so nice. Done. Alright, so I'll get another bag. Actually, I'm going to get the same bag that I put underneath my box because it's almost dry. And now we can Mod Podge this one's too, because we want everything to be nice and even. And again, this just creates sturdiness too to the actual projects. So nice to have that bag underneath. You don't have to be as careful. And cleaning is a zip. Anything I can avoid doing any extra work. I do a lot already as it is, so I try to cut back on anything that I can. Alright, now I'm going to leave that in here because I'm going to need it in a little bit, that brush, and I'm going to bring my project. I want to show you something on it. It'll start bubbling up because the paper is just reacting to the humidity of the glue. It'll go right back down, okay? So do not get scared. Okay, now I'm going to put the Mod Podge underneath. And yes, as you can tell, I couldn't find that piece of paper. You know, sometimes when I'm working, I lose things right in front of me, and I wouldn't find them for months. And I go, you know, honestly, it's not like somebody was here. It's just me. But, you know, I think it's just, I have so much stuff that it's so easy to get underneath something else, and then, you know, there's a problem. Alright, oops, I put ink on this thing. I don't care. Alright, so I'm putting that. Oh shoot, I really did that. I put black paint for my fingers on it. But, so that's alright, we can use that area to put something else on it. Alright, I'm going to get the heat gun. This dries so fast. Not as fast as you know, my the matte medium from Claudine Helmut, but as I said before, I am trying to use all my products and not buy anymore, but try to be choosy as to what I buy and not just buy because. See what I did there? Horrible. I'm gonna put it lower. I'm gonna lower it down there so I can work on this ones. Let me finish drying everything up, and I'll be right back to add our dividers, and we're done. Okay, we'll see in a little bit. Okay, my friends, we are back, and these ones are nice and dried, and they're decoupaged back and front. And now we're going to adhere them to our. Let me remove these tags from here so you can kind of have an idea. Alright, so this is what I was telling you about, that you can cover them too. Not really, nobody's really going to see them really, because you know it's going to be full of tags in there, but they do look cool. But I'm not going to do it for this tutorial purpose. So this is what you want to do. If you can see in here, if you go like this, and you can tell they're a little bit slanted, okay? So they're not straight standing up. I just kind of give them a little tuck towards the back. And the reason for that is just to keep tags down. Otherwise, you know, when they get full, they'll tend to kind of fall forward, and we don't want that. Okay, at this point, the only thing we're going to do is, let's get this where they need to be. So you want to kind of figure, you want to see where they're going to go, and you're just going to divide your spaces evenly, you know, no science to it. So let's divide them. I know it's it is the medium one that we use the most. Okay, right there. And that's the other reason why I like the either the Mod Podge or the gel, any protective gel, because it allows for you know, for the box to kind of really stay together when you put this dividers. They don't seem to, it's almost like you have to kind of battle to get them in there, and I kind of like that because they're still kind of, you know, humid a little bit. Alright, so give or take, they're there. Let me see, maybe that one right there. So just so you can have an idea, I'm not going to measure. I don't suggest you measure either. There's no point. Now, if you're a person that must have everything measured, okay, so I suggest that before you put your box together, you make some lines in there if you want to. When the box is flat this way, you can make some lines. I don't mess with that because I know I can do it. Just calculating it. All you're going to do is put glue on just the edges because it's already tight enough. And don't worry, this glue, you know, dries clear, I meant to say. Yeah, it better dry. What do you think? I am having a night of tongue twister today for some reason. Alright, so I'm going to put that right there. And I can always, you know, fix them up as I'm putting the other ones. I just want to get them in there first. And then start moving them to where they need to be. And once you have found that the place where they're going to be at, then you're going to hold the box together, but we're not quite there yet. So I'm going to move this one back a little bit more, and this one just kind of right there. If you try to slant them a little too much, they'll go back too. So this is the trick time when you need to put them in there, and the wet glue acts as a lubricant, and if they start moving around, they won't do that for very long. Don't worry about all that glue that I'm putting everywhere in there. It dries completely clear, so don't panic. I'm gonna put this one a little bit to the back, and at this point then you want to go and kind of make them look straight. There. I'm gonna start cleaning some of that glue and putting them in those edges. You see that, how that just moved right there? Don't worry, so easily put back. Okay, so let me see. Does it kind of, yeah, they look kind of even right there. All right, so just do this one a little bit more that way. At that point, this is what I'm going to do. Very carefully, I'm going to put it down, and then from here, I'm going to look at it, and I am liking what I see. So I'm going to put some weight on it. Yesterday, and I did that, and voila! Look, I'm really fancy, huh, on my tools, but that works. Okay, so I'm going to let them stay there for about another. At this point, if you want to get a little brush and kind of wipe the glue, you can, but there's no need. It's going to be completely clear. Just leave it there, or you can start accelerating the process by, let me see, yeah, just adding a little bit of heat and putting some pressure here. Make sure those puppies don't fall. Alright, let's give it about another 5 minutes for it to dry, and I'll be right back with you guys. Okay, my friends, we're back again, and this is completely dry. And look how nice and sturdy it is. That's not going to move anywhere, okay? So, and the box feels really strong and sturdy and well constructed, so it's not going to, you know, be falling apart on you. Now, imagine making a lot of them like this way, and it doesn't really require much materials, as you can tell. You can use a lot of leftovers. You can, you can do leftover of even, you know, your leftover designing paper. You don't have to get, you know, a new sheet and decoupage the whole thing, and I think it would look really good. And really, they provide a really way of storing not just tags. I mean, tags are just one of those things that we use a lot in this industry, but we use a lot of photography too. I know I use them in my classes a lot, and I do a lot of fussing cutting because of you know, the papers that I buy. I love what they have, and I'm going to reuse them. So an example of this, you know, I don't dare throw something like this. There's a little frame in there, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fussy cut it. I don't really cut straight because I don't want to. This makes the product look more original and more, not original, but, you know, more vintage per se. And then I'm going to glue it to the side of the box, just to give it a little extra notion, okay? So that's what I'm going to do with that. Hi, Debbie. I know you're sending me messages right now. I'm not ignoring you, my dear. I'm going to get to you right now. I just wanted to finish this box so everybody can feel like they have, you know, everything nice and organized. And where I did that boo-boo right there, I'm going to find a way. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to fold that in. So that's even weirder. So it kind of goes with my personality. How's that? So there you go. Now you can embellish this in any way you want to. You can put flowers in here. You can put anything you want to. I'm not a flower person. I love flowers, just don't know how to work with them. So I'll let that to somebody else who really knows. My friend Carrie, she is, I think, the #1 person to do flowers in a project. I can for the life of me. But I thought of this. So if you're not going to put like a lot of them together like this, I was thinking of doing a like a perforated, like a hole in here, and putting an eyelet or a you know, a grommet, and then hanging. I love hanging stuff, as you can tell. Let me see if. Well, okay, this is not the one I would put in there. This was from a pair of earrings. So something like that, you know. There's a lot of really, the choices are up to you. So I'm going to decoupage with some other little leftover things that I have in here, because it's kind of a, you know, bland outside, but grunge at the same time. But I just want to give it that extra tone. And it's done. I do have hope that you have enjoyed this, and I'll show you how it looks with some tags in there. These are all the tags that I make, you know, as some finishing products or projects, because I do use a lot of the files, and this is what I did with them. Okay, so put the little ones here in the front. Got some more little ones. Sometimes I stamp. If I get a new stamp, I'll stamp a couple of them. You know, it kind of feel like I've done something. You know, I was doing a graduation card today. I believe it or not, I did a card. And I had this little bit of red paper left over, and I turned it into tags. This one did too. And then I have this little baby one, postcards, kind of French or vintage postcards, and I just do the hole, and I gotta put the reinforcements, and then I stamped it in the back, so they're gonna be awesome cards. Okay, so that's the final product. Okay, so you guys pat yourselves in the back, and as you can tell, it's not difficult. So go make a lot of boxes and post some pictures. You know, I love when people post pictures of projects that they've learned or anything like that, and I'd love to see them. So hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope it wasn't too lengthy, but it's quite easy. I just like to talk a lot. What can I say? Well, you guys take care. You have a good evening, okay? Bye.